Ladies and gentlemen, this video will not be for the weak of heart. It is the end of August, and we have multiple crises happening at the same time. And it is just a bad vibe all around. Dakota Smith, a major hurricane on the Gulf Coast and megafires in the West Coast. Simultaneous high-impact disasters. And the Northeast getting in on the bad action also, as they had a giant transformer blow again. And now the entire NYC subway is shut down. Hours later, Hurricane Ida is still at a Category 2 and doing major damage. I'm having Harvey flashbacks as a lot of people are stuck choosing between getting on their roof and facing tornado conditions or being in their attic with an axe to where they have to chop their way out in case the water gets too high. And then we've got levees failing, which is reminiscent of Katrina, and the power is all out completely in New Orleans. The main transmission tower that feeds New Orleans has collapsed into the Mississippi River. And I've had 4 or 5 different friends, family, mentors confirm that the coronavirus has absolutely raged through schools, through businesses, through families here in Texas the last 2 weeks. And it is always darkest before the dawn, and I regret to inform you it's going to be a dark and dangerous winter. And then that is not just a metaphor, it is also literal in New Orleans, as all of New Orleans is in the dark as Hurricane Ida bears down on the city. Catastrophic damage to their transmission system. All of Orleans Parish is currently without power. Alan Gerard, pretty much all of the heavily populated areas around NOLA and the North Shore have large unit streamflow values indicating significant flooding. Flash flood emergency just issued for southern Tajipaho and Livingston parishes due to a combo of surge and freshwater flooding. Yeah, everything around this Lake Pontchartrain seems to be a very bad scene this evening. Mark Sudduth put a camera in LaPlace and Frenier Landing. It was 10 feet above ground, and this is what it looks like now. As with weather Twitter, always debates will rage over actual speeds, but a ship had a recorded wind gust of 172 miles per hour, and it was reported that the hurricane made landfall at about 149 sustained miles per hour wind speeds. As I mentioned before, the hurricane is still at about Category 2 strength, 105 mile per hour, and we're, I think, maybe 10 hours after landfall. This has caused extreme storm surge, extreme winds, flash flooding, and tornado threats that will continue through the night. And this storm will cause a problem all the way up into the northeast, which is soaked from the last 2 tropical storms. We're talking rain amounts. This thing will carry up into like Baltimore, Washington, 6.7, 4.8, 4.6, 5.8. And I plan to go tomorrow and here in Houston to go fill up my gas tank because I have a feeling that gas prices are going to shoot up because nearly 95% of Gulf Coast oil and gas production is offline as Hurricane Ida nails Louisiana. And to be honest, if you can afford it, it might be smart to keep your tank at full for the rest of 2021. You know, I am your planetary defense commander. I try to give you guys good information all the time, and I have a lot of reason to believe that the rest of the second half of the year is going to be very, very rough on almost every level. So I would highly recommend, getting ready mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually for that. But light at the end of the tunnel, I do believe 2022 will be better. We can discuss why on another day. Maximum of 14 to 16 inches of rain right over LaPlace, and it had significant storm surge. I believe anywhere from 7 to 10 feet. This was a major, massive, nasty hurricane that continues on, and now we have to raise our entire guard for the rest of September and October as far as every single possible hurricane that may come our way, wherever anyone is in the United States. Now will be a great time for people to set aside their political differences and do what we can to keep civilization and the power and supply chains up and standing over the next 5 months. I highly recommend it. Jim Tang, backside eyewall in Hau, violent wind gusts, strongest I've ever seen. And there is so much bad news right now. Might see a tsunami situation. There are 22 barges blocking river flow. The barges got untangled and then all collected at the mouth of a river, I do believe. But this is a horrible situation with no power, no water. The hospitals are already super overrun with the coronavirus. The most vulnerable are already in serious trouble. Ida is creating a major, massive humanitarian disaster in southeast Louisiana as we speak. We've just got tons of high water rescues here. New Orleans is totally without power, and I think these areas as well. And it's still a high-end Category 2 strength storm, and it will move into Mississippi later. And I believe it'll probably still even be at Category 1 strength hurricane and tropical storm strength when it moves there. But we've had at least one levee fail. Could be multiple levees that have failed if I'm understanding everything correctly. Energy overwhelmed me, and I took a nap. And the whole month has been so stressful. And when I woke up, I'm just catching everybody up. This is absolutely bonkers. The Mississippi River is 200 feet deep at New Orleans and half a mile wide. That's a wall of water as tall as a skyscraper and as wide as a city block with 2,000 miles of water behind it. Ida stopped the flow and then briefly reversed the Mississippi River. That's how powerful it is, or was. And then you got people dunking on some of the storm chasers who weren't professional, who went there and then got stuck. And, you know, for me, Astro Fight Club is staying out of the way of storms and danger. So I just can't understand wanting to go be there when this shit happens. But I'm trying not to judge anyone for the rest of the year. Right now, we're in a hotel, La Place, because St. Charles did a mandatory evacuation. And, well, we aren't doing good. The hotel has a backup generator, but it's flooding really bad. And I get that, hey, a lot of people, times you don't have the resources to evacuate. And some people have to choose between whether they want to pay rent and maintain their job or if they want to evacuate. Everything's dicey in 2021. Mark Sudduth, goodness, the surge in Waveland, Mississippi is back up again after coming down from earlier today. Unconfirmed reports show that a levee has failed in Baton Rouge and NOLA as levees are eroding. Lanes Brew, an unofficial New Orleans Asteroid Fight Club correspondent, has just tweeted, "I'm not going to lie, the news didn't exaggerate this storm. It is terrible." And then, of course, anytime you have a terrible event happening, you have your cryptocurrency people showing up saying the blockchain would fix this. But it does not appear that cryptocurrency really does anything to help people outside of the people that own it. And then we've got the wildfires that are totally just all breaking out on the West Coast right now. The Caldor fire and Dixie Fire have been mega fires that are horrible. Ceiling tiles are beginning to fall in their newsroom. Lots of news channels in New Orleans have gone without power. Thermal imaging of the Caldor fire reveals that, yes, it is super nasty and dangerous. The power loss also impacts the sewer pumping stations in New Orleans. Currently, there is no backup power to operate any of these that were impacted. We are assessing how many of the 84 stations are impacted, but the number may be very significant. As of an hour ago, the number unofficially confirmed levee failures is at 3 right now, with more likely. This is definitely a catastrophic situation. And yes, all of New Orleans is without power due to catastrophic damage to Eternergy's transmission system. And there's no telling when the power will be restored to the people. As I mentioned previously, you had an explosion and a fire in the mushroom cloud at a Con Ed electricity plant in New York City, which knocked out the subways, which is reminiscent of that weird end of 2019 blue light burst, if you remember that. Straight line winds, tornadoes, heavy rainfall, flooding are going to continue to be major problems through the night. The Kerner Swing Bridge in Lafayette was hit by a barge. Any residents that may still be in Lafayette are advised not to attempt to drive on this bridge. They do not believe it was structurally safe. This was 3 hours ago. The edge of Ida. Yes, it was a monster with huge cloud tops. And Category 2 means it was still a monster. We won't even know the amount of destruction that has been done by the storm for days, if not weeks. But yes, like buildings have been getting torn down by the wind. And I guess people are burned out on the wildfire stories because the wildfire coverage this year has not been that great compared to, like, let's say Afghanistan or even this hurricane. But the wildfires have just been freaking raging up and down the West Coast into Canada and in many parts of the world. Carl Modon had to report cabins are burning along Highway 50 in Twin Bridges this afternoon. A large group of people gathered at the United States Marine Corps War Memorial for a candlelight vigil Saturday in memory of the 11 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, and 1 U.S. Army soldier who lost their lives on August 26 during an attack in Kabul, Afghanistan. As Afghanistan has fallen back to the Taliban. Yeah, I told everybody for months the end of August was just going to be like super horrible and brutal, but that hasn't made it any easier. Which, hopefully at some point we can have some type of leaders that stand up and unite people. I know that may be a delusion of grandeur or some wild fantasy I have, but what else is there to work for? As far as like being human beings live on Earth, to see that the whole divide and conquer is making the stock market super rich and then the cryptocurrency people super rich, and it's leaving the people without the very basic functions of normal civilization while we tear each other up over all the shit, man. This is a video of the city where you can see pretty much sheets of rain just blowing in super sideways from the intense winds. Yeah, if I knew how to give up, maybe I would have already, but I don't know how. So I'm going to keep the faith. But I'm going to do my best to stay y'all's planetary defense commander and guide us through the last, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 months of 2021. Because they are not going to be any type of party cakewalk, I do not believe. And I'm putting out a full, absolute, 100% red alert for the very first half of October. The first leading up all the way to the 15th. It will be almost like the last 2 weeks of August, in my opinion. With hurricanes and just major problems all over the board. So we need to be ready. And hopefully we can come together more than we are now. The Caldor fire exploding earlier continued to concern for column collapse and resultant erratic fire behavior in spotting the Oak Grove fire, Utah. And earlier someone was making fun of me, calling me a bunker boy. And I was like, look, I told y'all 1 year ago today that I was going to play maximum defense until 2022. And so at this point, especially with all the 6 planets retrograde and everything going on, I can't stress enough that I still recommend playing maximum defense through the rest of 2021. And so if I have a stance a year ago and I'm like, it won't change till 2022, I'm glad that I don't have to change my theories in midterm pretty much ever. Play defense, stay smart, make good decisions, and if you can, keep a sense of humor. I think I've made over 60 videos in August trying to detail everything properly as best I could, give out good information, and I gotta admit, I feel like my personal tank is empty, and like I said, I don't think it's going to get much easier for the rest of the year, although September may be lighter compared to October, November, and December. So I'll be here giving you guys information at regular intervals like I do, no matter how bad the situation is. And so I will do my best to continue to keep you guys updated. But do your best and prayers and help out where you can, okay? God bless everyone. I'll talk to y'all in the near future. Peace out. Stay cool.